We're talking next-gen pricing, Ubisoft's latest Battle Royale game, and Outriders, so let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Today is Friday, July 3rd, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Now, we're not talking next-gen console pricing. We've kind of speculated on that in the past few weeks, but now we're talking about games coming to the next-gen console. This week, NBA 2K announced that, for the current-gen consoles, they will launch at $60, like all other current-gen consoles have, or most other current-gen consoles have. But for the next console generation, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, their base SKU, their base game will cost $70. This is a price hike similar to Activision in 2005 when they jumped from $50 to $60 from the PlayStation 1, Xbox base to the PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360. There wasn't a price hike back in 2013 when we jumped from previous gen to current gen, but people kind of expected it, and now that we're kind of finally approaching the next gen hardware of the PS5 and Xbox Series X, there it is. So people are kind of speculating whether or not this is a fluke, or if NBA 2K will open the door and the floodgates will be open for all other big publishers to launch their base games at $70. I think it's kind of been broiling for a while. I'm not quite sure why that didn't happen for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Xbox OEN, or ONE. I'm not sure why that didn't happen back in 2013. And this kind of brings up a lot of controversy. Currently, in the games market, there's a lot of games that are games as a service. They kind of monetize through loot boxes or other kind of microtransactions, and so the whole price hike kind of has some people on edge, thinking like, hey, I might monetize anyway, so this price increase doesn't mean it isn't doing what they want. I think it's a way for single player games developers to launch at a higher price and get a little bit more money on the front end. I feel like people are going to buy the game whenever they feel the price is right for them anyway. And so people who are more price sensitive, they're going to wait anyway. So the fact that if they want the game at launch, it's going to be slightly, $10 more at launch. I don't know that quite affects those people. Call of Duty gamers, I think, a lot of them are going to buy it up front so that they can play the multiplayer with their friends as much as possible, and that's going to cost them $10 more. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I kind of see what people are talking about with games as a service and microtransactions being more involved in games nowadays. But I also see that it's, the cost to make video games has increased exponentially, and they, developers and publishers want to get more of that money up front. And that, if they lose a certain percentage of consumers who become more price sensitive, and they start waiting from launch to later in the life cycle when it's cheaper on a sale somewhere, then that's the risk they're kind of taking. But I'm kind of accepting of this whole upfront cost. If I didn't want to play a game right when it launched, I would wait till it's cheaper. People are going to buy a game when they feel that the price is right for them, and if that's not $70, if you want to wait till it's $60 again, in a month or two after launch, it'll probably be discounted somewhere for $10 off, now back to the $60 price. So I don't quite understand some parts of it, but people are gonna throw up their hands and say, what the hell, $60 is the right price point. And I kind of disagree with that. Another piece of information coming out of the NBA 2K21 announced was that Kobe Bryant will be featured on the Mamba Forever Premium Edition for $100. And that kind of enters the Premium Edition thing, kind of enters into the whole $70 price point as well. people buy at higher price points at first anyway if they want the season pass content all at once. That maybe has a little bit more weight to it, but I still think just because premium editions exist doesn't mean that the game should be devalued back down to that $60. But Kobe Bryant will be an homage, a very kind of very cool covering for the premium edition. So if you want to get the premium edition covering with Kobe Bryant on it, NBA 2K has you covered. Moving along, Ubisoft announced and released a new battle royale this week. It's called Hyperscape. It's got a very urban, like not computer generated, very urban techie vibe. Like your characters, like I feel like the zone closing in is like a corruption of this idyllic, cityscape. It's all very like cybery, not quite cyberpunk, but like very cyber technical. Like a lot of your skills are like about hacking and stuff like that. And that launched this week. Ubisoft's doing kind of like an Apex Legends approach mixed with the Valorant approach, where in order to get into the game, I think you have to watch a streamer who's playing it, and then you might get a code. The Twitch integration seems a lot better than previous games have launched with, where you'll get boxes just for watching the Twitch streamers. So Ubisoft is really focused on this like Twitch integration to get people more and more involved, which I think is a pretty good approach. One of the cool features I saw of this game, it is a battle royale. You drop in with a solo or parties of 3, and you play with your friends. The one cool thing was when you die, you become a ghost. And you can kind of like run around the area and still kind of like scout out and call out to your friends that people are coming and this is where they are. I thought that was really cool because dying in a battle royale game has always felt like you're just kind of sitting there. Most games just turn you into an observer of one of your allies, which doesn't breed any like interactivity anymore. And then I think when your ally kills another teammate, you can res where your ally kills an enemy team. You can res where one of the enemies died, and so that's how you come back into the game. I think that's all like a really cool mechanic. I don't know that adds enough to the battle royale game to like make me want to be more involved. And then another part of the Twitch integration was like people watching the Twitch stream can like affect the game, and so if you get like people voting for anti-gravity, you've got like this anti-gravity field that pops up. There's like an unlimited ammo consumable that comes up if you get more Twitch involved. So Ubisoft is really pushing this like Twitch integration and trying to make that partnership work. And I think it is working, but the battle royale genre is really crowded right now, and I don't know that this is necessarily going to take away from any of the bigger battle royales. It might do some damage to the smaller ones, but only time will tell. Moving right along, Outriders is the next Destiny-like game coming from Square Enix. I think I talked about this about a month or two ago. The game, it just feels like a Destiny clone. The character except for you're playing in third person, your characters have maybe a few more abilities than you would have playing Destiny, and they're a lot more interesting, like bombs and AoEs and cover and healing. Those are all very look like the systems behind that are really fleshed out. So Outriders, if you're into Destiny or you're kind of moving away from Destiny into another game, I don't know when the game launches. I tried to do that research before this, but I think it's coming this year, and it's coming for current gen and next gen consoles, so might be a game that we can play once we buy our new consoles. They also talked about how their hub city will work. It's actually a moving city, and so hopefully the story's there where you're moving your city of RPG NPCs around, and they're going to help you build as you move across this map. So that's a little bit of an interesting approach, as opposed to having like this tower that just kind of sits there. I'm aiming at Destiny, but the tower that just kind of sits there, and that's like your hub, and you go there and you turn in quests and then you kind of leave. The fact that you can kind of bring your NPCs along with you is cool, and you'll add more as you play more of the story. So a couple more evolutions on Destiny, but is that enough? I don't know. Ghost of Tsushima is coming out just around the corner. I think it's 2 weeks from today. Yeah, 2 weeks from today, Ghost of Tsushima is coming out. We got a launch. I don't know if it's a launch trailer, but we got another trailer now that Sony's, now that PlayStation's not focused on Last of Us and they can kind of move away from that because it's launched. They're now going into their next exclusive, Ghost of Tsushima, and they're starting up the engines and rolling out those trailers to get people excited for the game who aren't already excited. Yeah, so this trailer shows like the war that you'll be fighting. Like you're kind of dropped into the war. I think the character dies and then he kind of or is left for dead, and then he comes back and now he's got to like fight between these factions. It really sets up this kind of war story that I thought was really cool. I think the narrator's Ken Watanabe, but maybe just the way the narrator said like samurai kind of reminded me of like a Last Samurai narrative. But I think the story looks really cool. I'm not typically one for the kind of like third person like action RPGs, besides like Monster Hunter World, which I can play with a lot of people. But the two approaches of being stealth or more combat focused, I think that's a kind of a cool approach, and like your armor affects that. So I'm kind of looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima, but I don't know if I'll buy it immediately or not. Crucible, Amazon's latest multiplayer shooter, has been unreleased, and so I believe the game launched a week or two ago, and now not a lot of involvement, not a lot of people are playing the game, and so they kind of took it back to the drawing board and now have fallen back from fully released game into closed beta. I think that is really interesting. I don't know that a game has ever launched and then not launched. I think Fortnite went out there and then they had to add like early access to the bottom of it, so I can kind of see what they're going for. But this was like an official, like, we launched the game, it's out there, go play it, and now they're saying nope, actually we're going back to closed beta. I think there's a little bit of a response of like kind of, it's a horror story of like publishers releasing a game that isn't really fit for the market. It's not quite ready yet. There's not a lot of stuff to do. It's not really flushed out. And so, the market rejected it, and now they have to take it back to the drawing board and add a little bit more before they can say like, okay, now the game's launched, all the features are there, go play more of it. So I don't feel bad for Amazon kind of, and there wasn't really like a marketing push up to it, so I can see why the market wasn't there, because I'm pretty sure if I said, hey, did you hear about Crucible? No one would know what I'm talking about unless they're like super hardcore. You don't have super hardcore Amazon gaming studio fans. And like, unless they're like, I don't think it like made the front page of Twitch or anything. So I don't think there was a lot of awareness behind this game. So the fact that they released it, it wasn't fully finished, no one knew about it, and now they're kind of rescinding it back. So just goes to show you that the market will reject games, and hopefully you can do something about them rather than just like have a sunk cost out there in the market. So yeah, interesting tactic. Discord, which started out more as Discord, which is now ubiquitous amongst the gaming community because it is a place for gaming communities and content creators to kind of join up with their community. It's like set up a community. This is, I think, where most of the community management goes a lot of the time for content creators as well as big publishers in specific games. They kind of have like, this is kind of replaced the forums that you would have back in the old days of like, a Game Informer forum or other, gaming forums. Reddit still exists, but I think a lot of times people are going to the Discords now, if they can get invited, and that's how people interact with their favorite games. But Discord is trying to rebrand themselves. They don't want to be solely gaming focused, and so they're now trying to set themselves up as like, hey, we can have any topic you want. We can, it's also a verbal communication platform, because that's where people go to kind of talk, like a PlayStation party or other different types of like ways to connect verbally for gaming communities while people are playing games together, kind of in the same sense of Ventrilo. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, or yeah, just another platform for verbal communication in video games. They want to expand beyond video games and just be a place that people can go to chat. They're trying to compete with the Zooms and the Microsoft Teams of the world and Skypes for places where people can just talk to each other and communicate with each other. And a lot of the times I'm communicating with friends and on Discord, and it's not about video games. It's just about hanging out and talking to people. I fully support them kind of expanding it, because Discord doesn't have to be specifically for gaming, even though that's how it was started. So I think it's a good move. The UK House of Lords Select Committee. I had to look up what this committee does. They're kind of like a smaller part of, I don't know if it's Parliament. And someone from the UK, please correct me if I'm getting the politics and governments wrong on this, but the House of Lords Select Committee has raised. They're kind of like a place to like cultivate policy changes, and they like go and do the work of to try and implicate certain policy changes. So they've gotten together and they've said they've put together a report that says in the UK loot boxes should be classified as gambling. And so I think the UK was one of the first ones to come out and say like, hey, the government's looking into loot boxes. Loot boxes are gambling. So they're now they've done the legwork, and now they're trying to put out a report that says let's implement this. Let's make this a policy change. I don't know if once the UK does it, like all the dominoes start falling behind them, but I know that a lot of other European countries are doing it. I think China has already implemented some form of classifying it as gambling. So this could be the start of a bigger thing. I think there's a Hawaiian senator who's has it as one of his talking points. So yeah, this is a lot bigger, and if this one kind of like gets set in stone, I don't know if that means that the rest, that more will happen, but it could be interesting. Or once it's happened in one place, that's all it really needs, because my understanding is if you classify loot boxes as gambling, then you have to show the odds, or at least you have to make the odds publicly available, and then once people have that, then they'll know like, hey, do I really want to spend $5 for this 1 in 1,000 chance to get the skin I want? So just informing the public, I think, is what a lot of this is doing, and to not market it at 12-year-old kids, because you don't want kids buying into and getting addicted to this like gambling like gotcha mechanic. But there's the other side of it of kids already have access to Magic Card booster packs and gotcha type toys where you don't know what's in the toy wrapper. So these kind of things already exist elsewhere, and so the argument kind of has the two sides to it. But the UK is making strides, and it'll be interesting to follow this and see if it actually gets implemented. Minecraft is now entering the grocery store. Minecraft has a cereal brand now called Creeper Crunch that is being produced and distributed by Kellogg's. So they know cereal. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I'm excited just to like have a box of Creeper Crunch on my shelf, behind me, just kind of show it off. I think it's kind of funny and interesting. I like gaming kind of tchotchke memorabilia kind of things like this. I don't know that this is gonna like cause a resurgence of Minecraft players or anything, but it definitely sets up Minecraft as a brand. And Minecraft already has multiple different kind of ways to interact with people with different types of games. So yeah, I think this is pretty cute and fun, and I hope to be able to buy a box of Minecraft cereal Creeper Crunch by Kellogg's at some point in the grocery store in the near future. It must be Christmas in July, because two big news stories that are near and dear to my heart came out this week. These last two news stories are really cool, and I'm excited to talk about them. The trademark behind the Fable series has been renewed. I believe there's a new Fable account on Twitter now, and so people are seeing like these kind of trademarks pop up for the Fable series to make sure that they don't lapse. And the fact that this is happening a couple weeks before Microsoft does their Xbox Series X kind of showcase, people are kind of trying to put two and two together and say maybe there's going to be a Fable game, or they're at least going to talk about it, or at least say we're not, or at least just say we're not letting Fable die, and we intend to use it at some point in the future. So I'm excited for that. I am a diehard Fable fan. It's one of my top 5 favorite franchises, definitely, maybe even top 3. I love the games. I grew up on Xbox playing Fable games, and I loved them all. I played the VR or the Kinect game. I played the Heroes. Obviously, I played the 1, 2, and 3. I even played the kind of asymmetrical dungeon crawler game that they came out for the Xbox One. So I'm a diehard Fable fan. Anything they give me, as long as Peter Molyneux's not promising me anything, anything they give me, I will eat hook, line, and sinker, because I love the Fable series. So I'm glad to see that they're renewing it and not just letting the series die or lapse. And then last but certainly not least, a Fallout TV show coming from Amazon Studios. I got dog meat right here. I am a diehard Fallout fan. Anybody who sees me walking around at work, I've got my Vault 111 bag, so diehard Fallout fan. And to see that it's being produced by the minds behind Westworld, Jonathan North and Lisa Joy, the creative minds behind Westworld, they are joining up with Amazon to make this series, a live action Fallout TV show. Yeah, so that's really cool. I'm really excited to see a Fallout TV show. I hope that I can see the fruits of this sometime soon. The gaming IPs are now becoming more and more relevant in the TV space, and I think big publishers want to get, or big TV producers want to get some IP, and kind of trying to cash in on some of the big IPs that are out there right now. We've got the Witcher TV show, which is The Witcher based on the books, based on the video game, based on the books. You've got the Cuphead show that I talked about, I think, last week. You've got, there's just plenty of video game IP. Not to even mention some of the movies that are based on video game IP, which are kind of shoddy. But I'm excited for it. The fact that it's Amazon, the fact that it's big producers, people that I've heard about. It's not just a smaller party that I've never heard of before. So I'm hoping that this is really big and that people enjoy it. I think there's plenty of stories that you can tell in the Fallout universe. So excited to see how that works out. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch. Links down below in the description so you can see more great content like this. I hope you have a super weekend. I hope you enjoy your long holiday weekend. I hope you have a super day. Bye.